All right, here we go. This is a case study on how to make $100 million from podcasting. I know you're wondering what on earth is Favor about to say. Well, there's a lot we're going to uncover here. There's a lot we're going to do, and yeah, it's going to be a really good one. You know, it's exciting. It's exciting. And I think it's going to be something we're going to talk about, and I feel like you guys are going to learn so much from this room. It's a good one.
Hi,
Hi,
Favor.
Dr. Fashion. Hello.
Like perfect timing.
Yes. I really want everyone here online to listen, and I'm so happy for this room. I'm
Yeah.
really excited. Yeah, it was perfect timing. Hey, John, welcome to the room.
Welcome. Good to be here with everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. This room is going to be one explosive one. I'm excited about this because I feel like this room should wake anybody up that is not thinking about podcasting or not online, because podcasting could be, you could be anywhere. You could be, really good authority online on a platform, which is a good thing. But to really think about the level you could reach when you think about audio, visuals, content, you know, it's time to really like think about it and think way out the box. So before we get started, because we're going to kick off this room in a really good way, I wanted to start off with you, Dr. Fashion. Let them know who you are, what you do, and then passing it to John, and then we'll kick off from there. And after I introduce myself, we'll take off. So passing it to you.
Yeah. My name is Brittany, but people know me as Dr. Fashion. I have a creative agency where we manage influencers. We work with Fortune 500 companies on campaigns, social media, marketing, all that good stuff, and more. So you'll be able to see more insight of what I do on my Instagram if you go to my bio here on Clubhouse. I'm passing the mic on to John.
And pleasure to be here with everybody. My name is John. I'm the host of the nationally syndicated Law Enforcement Talk radio show. Started as a podcast only in March of 2017. And by October, it was recruited by radio. We now broadcast on 116 affiliate stations weekly to about 44 million combined population and then growing. And currently, the podcast itself has gone from a 1.5% ranked podcast according to Listen Notes to a 0.5% ranked podcast. And we are just about close to cracking the top 12 in Apple podcast charts for United States for documentaries. So it's always about growth, and that's what I'm here to do. So thanks, everybody. Glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. This is for both of you. You're both killing it out there. This is what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's very motivating for me. For anybody else listening, yes. For me, yes, it's very motivating because we do these things every day, and sometimes we're like, is it working? Is it not? And it is working because we're here consistently and we're showing up, in the midst of everything happening. So thank you so much for sharing that. For me, my name is Favor Bas Ike, and I'm the founder at Work and Play Entertainment, also the podcast host at We Don't Play, and we help businesses protect, earn, and scale their intellectual property by using applied search engine optimization with a hint of Pinterest business, and definitely, some good things with podcasting just to help you spread that word forward and take you to that next step. So thank you for joining and being in this room today. Now, the reason why this room has this title is because I want us to discuss something as professionals, as people who, understand the wave, also understand what's going on in the market, because not everyone knows what's happening, and sometimes we have to be thinking about the long term, right? So the question here is, how to make $100 million from podcasting, right? And the reason why this is happening is because, Dr. Fashion, you ready?
I am. I'm ready.
All right. So, guys, I don't know if you guys know this story, right? But This happened between yesterday today. The news. This is a new story, right? And I'm sure, John and Julie, I'm sure you've probably heard of it. Before I even go any further, I wanted to say hi to you, Julie. Welcome to the room. How are you?
Hey, Favor. Hi, Dr. Fashion and John. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you here, Julie. So this news, guys, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but yeah, Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy podcast, she got $125 million from SiriusXM, and this is a big deal when you think about the deal she had with Spotify in 2021 for 60 million, and now it's doubled, over doubled. It says a lot about where we're going in the digital audio space, in the market share. Is Spotify going to go away, or is it taking a whole new curve? Who are the big players and where are you playing to? So I don't know if anyone has heard this story. I know I was talking to Dr. Fashion about it, and I was like, let me bring this up because I don't see it happening on Clubhouse. No one's talking about it. And I said, hey, why not bring this so that you guys can also do your own research, and also we can talk about it in depth, especially because we're also in the podcast scene. So wanted to kick that off, and welcome Soda. Welcome to the room. So, tossing the mic up, has anyone heard this story? And if you have, what are your
Yep,
thoughts?
I did.
All right, what do you think? What do you think, John?
Well, I think that's possible. Listen, I make money to my show, and not just my show, but also email marketing and social media are other revenue streams. And we're looking at partnering with other companies to provide more advertising for products and creating more passive revenue. The difference between Alex Cooper and her shows, and by the way, I think it's 5 shows that she has that she sold the rights to. They have a huge marketing team. They understand something a lot of podcasters that in a space, in Clubhouse in particular, don't. They do an entertaining show that's designed for listeners. What we have is a bunch of people that want to get on here and tell everybody you're an expert and why you need to give me money, and they wonder why they struggle, and they don't do a lot of the work, social media wise, search engine wise, writing articles in Newsbreak or Medium or other things that Alex Cooper, Joe Rogan, the top 0.01% ranked shows, which by the way, Lore is one. They put a lot of work into it. And if you listen to the top 0.01% ranked shows, you will see the difference clearly between the shows that are doing really well and the ones that aren't. So that's my main takeaway from it. You can make a lot of money with this, but it's a lot of work, and you got to be serious about it. You can't be, pardon my French, dicking around based on what someone says in Clubhouse because they're a guru, and you're gonna change everything and create more work that doesn't move the needle.
That's a strong point. Thank you so much for that. I believe so too, because the reason why she's doing so well is because of, yes, press, media, and all those things. She doesn't have to write a blog. She doesn't have to do that. It's being done for her, but those are the things that are being done. So look at the link I'm putting above. That's a blog. There are many other publications, but you don't see authored published by Alex Cooper. I don't even think she published it on her Instagram yet. It's probably on her TikTok, but not on her Instagram because she probably doesn't even manage her Instagram to post that, or they're probably not doing that yet. I don't know. I'm not part of the team, but just looking outside, I'm like, huh, this is very interesting. Austin, you had a thumbs down. I don't know why you had your thumbs down. But anyone else, Dr. Fasher, Julie, Soda, what are your thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I did watch an interview she did a while ago, and one thing she pointed out was how social media really helped her reach a larger audience. So, what she would do was like repurpose clips from her podcast and post little bits onto Instagram. And then her fans started to do it. And then she started to really tap into like the video podcasting stuff. So, you'll be able to find a lot of her content nowadays on like YouTube and other platforms. But that's something that she has helped to leverage and get her more out there with her podcast.
Yeah, I truly believe that too. TikTok was definitely the booster because when you look at her social profiles, discovery on TikTok, if she's been doing it for years and just been consistent, like every other podcaster, she did. And I think maybe, of course, when she broke into the industry, interviewing, celebrities, that definitely sparks awareness. But I don't know what her first or who her first celebrity was, but I think from that point onwards, and her just making those connections genuinely allowed people to feel free because she was in a way of, letting people know, hey, you can come to my show and talk about it. And people can feel comfortable because when they're celebrities that are on, camera, they're on screens, they are literally being listened to every second of what they say. They always have to mind their words. But it's like podcasts, you don't really have to mind your words. You can get your whole full thought out. I didn't listen to the full thing. I was talking to Dr. Fashion about it. I didn't listen to the full episode, the one with Miley Cyrus. I think that's what really like took everything to the next level for her. Because as I was listening a little bit, Miley Cyrus was saying, "Yeah, I wouldn't even do a podcast, but because I'm in this kind of space, I think they did it at her house. I think that's what they were talking about." And Alex went to her house and they talked and everything. But the fact that there was access, she could feel comfortable talking about it. Celebrities have tried podcasting. I think Nicki Minaj has tried it. Lil Wayne has tried it. Artists have tried it, but it's not the same with music because people want to hear you sing. They don't want to hear you talk. So it's so hard to just move the crowd and think, oh yeah, because I have a million fans, they're also going to listen to me. So it's very hard to kind of break that when you don't really know who your audience is. So I love that breakdown too, as well. Austin, welcome. Want to hear from you. Why the thumbs down?
Hey, good afternoon, Favor. Hey, everyone. I was just simply answering the question if for those who were aware of the podcast deal. So, yeah, familiar with the show, but just first time I was hearing about Alex's new deal. So, kind of exciting.
Okay. No, I appreciate that. Okay. Julie, what do you think? Do you think this deal? What do you think, like, just the future of digital audio?
Well, I think you definitely need to have a backing. I mean, this is an anomaly, if you will. You have to have a backing. You have to have a really built out brand. Without the built out brand, you're just swimming in uncharted waters. So I think, it's a lesson we can glean from this situation. I mean, I'm hoping all of you guys get deals like this, but to be honest, you need to have a huge brand, huge backing, huge machine that is behind you because no one will put this money into you unless they see that the investment is worth it. Thank you.
And here's my response to that. And we look at Joe Rogan's earliest stuff, and it's horrible. Alex Cooper's stuff when she first started was not great. She started the exact same place that most everybody else does: zero followers, zero downloads. She put a lot of work into it, and she began to take it seriously and market and promote her stuff. You're not going to get bigger just by putting out more content. Love this. People say it all the time: more content, more content, more content. Improve your content. That's great, but if no one knows about it, you're not going to grow.
That's so true. And I think the placement is so important too, because with podcasting, we think, oh, we're just on YouTube or just on Apple, and we expect the whole world to find us on the platform when you have to be on those directories that you don't think matter, but they matter a whole lot because it attributes to your brand and your credibility overall. So there's so many, things to look at. So yeah, it's definitely about not just quantity, but also quality too. Soda, we'd love to hear your thoughts
Oh,
on that. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead, Julie.
can I just ask a question because I can't get to this link? Alex Cooper, is she Call Me Daddy? Is that right?
Yep, that's
Okay,
her.
so one of my friends was on Call Me Daddy, Dr. Sherry. Okay, Dr. Sherry. Okay, now Alexa's answering, and everybody's like, "Call me daddy." But my friend Sherry Campbell was on that. I mean, it's incredible, this machine. I mean, she's what, number two compared to Joe Rogan, and they see a gold mine in her. And I didn't realize Alex Cooper. I was thinking it was Alice Cooper. That's the funny part when you were talking about it. And then I took a look and I couldn't get to the link, but it is the machine behind her. No one's going to give you 125 million unless you have yes, the consistency, yes, the content, but also you need to prove that you are worth that amount of money. Period.
And
Period. Say it again. Period.
Yeah, my kids are making
and
fun of
what's
me now, so
interesting,
it's all right.
and Julie, I totally agree. Because yeah, Call her daddy kind of got on my radar when she was initially in the Barstool Sports Network, and it feels like it's been a while. This is and so or the part that's kind of interesting to me is this is probably her third large deal. It looks like because she also had an exclusive one with Spotify since Barstool, right? So how much has her audience grown? Are the distribution partners paying a higher rate for her reach? I wonder what kind of questions around that we can answer.
Yeah, and I mean she's provocative. That's the thing. She's provocative in that she cashed in on her audience. It's knowing your audience too, and she knows her audience. She knows what they're going through, and she's not afraid to talk about like those really like provocative topics.
Do you think it's the topics that got her there, or if she talked about something else, she would still get the deal?
I really don't.
Here's
But go ahead.
what I would say is Julie's got a point. She talks about topics that are in demand that people want to consume, but there are people, there's a team of people, beginning with, it was just her and a couple people at Barstool Sports that did this. They focused on building an email newsletter list, focused on website traffic, focused on titles and keywords and all that stuff we talk about. And that's how they built their empire. Now they have a team that does that. And we repeated this process over and over and over again, and it's a one process that almost never gets discussed in Clubhouse. It's like, oh yeah, you too can do this too. You're not going to do it if you don't have the teamwork. If you don't do it yourself and you can't afford to hire someone to do it, you're not going to get there. You're just not.
True. I mean, you have to pay money to. Okay, you have to pay money to make money, and the one off. I'm starting a podcast. I'm sorry to everyone. John's probably going to yell at me, but I like poking the bear. He knows I'm poking my own bear. But you can't make money like this without investing money, and this is like the illusion I think people give. Maybe just on Clubhouse. I'm not sure exactly on Clubhouse, but oh yeah, you can make $1 million. She has a machine behind her, a machine, marketing machine, production team, PR machine, everything. And she's paying a lot out too to keep this quality. And it is a provocative topic. She talks about things that really hit those raw nerves. And she understands her audience. So, and she knows SEOs, probably because Favor and John are helping her. Thank you.
I think Favor's got something to do with this. You think Favor? Are you in on this?
I think she needs to call her SEO, not mine.
They got a team, so they're doing the work. I mean, you're not going to get bigger unless you do it. And now I'm at the point where I want to hire some SEO people. I'm not quite there yet, but I work on my stuff. And this is what people say, oh, I'm too busy. I work on my stuff 7 days a week, starting at 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm off of multitasking until about 5 o'clock in the evening. And then I do some stuff on phone only. I work every day of the year in this. And right now, I'm doing about 7 figures a year. So it's not easy. Those who say, "Oh, you can create this. Oh, let's do a video show and I'll explode." No, you won't, because if you don't put in the legwork to get people to understand and find your content, they never will. They never will.
And
That
I
is
just
so
wanted to
true.
add
Yes.
something because I don't know if people know, like she also have her own media company, which hosts several other podcasts with other influencers. So that deal, they're all coming with her too. So that's something to kind of look into as you guys are reading up on like her success and the money is like what's all included in this deal. But she's been able to create something very amazing and awesome for herself, but she didn't do it alone. Obviously, bringing on other people that can help build up and help you scale, including her husband, which is like her partner in helping her with the whole podcast and the media company, which is pretty cool. But yeah.
This is interesting. I'm so glad we're here talking about this. And welcome, Mark, Drew, Terry, No Carbs, Mimi, Prince, Kirby, Alex. Good to have you as well. Morpheus, Donnie, and Bonsai. Yeah, I hope I said it correctly. Thank you for being here. Yeah, this topic is really hot, and I'm glad we're talking about this because there are so many things. Like Julie's asking, is there luck involved? I don't know. Like she's not the only one talking about these kind of topics on podcast, so there has to be something, completely different about her that makes it different, for her. I just put a link in the chat. That's a TikTok video I'm gonna play for you. Try watch it in your spare time. I'm just gonna play the audio so you guys can hear it. And when you watch this video and you see this TikTok video and see her setup, $100 million setup, her studio, you guys would be like, we should not be like there's room for all of us. Let me just play the video so you can hear what she says. And there's something she says in this video that really caught my attention. And I was like, let's talk about it. So I'll play it. Let me just change my audio. And then if you guys don't hear me, put a thumbs down. If you can hear me. All right, I'll just switch the audio. So here we go. It's only 1 minute, 25 seconds. All right, so I'm playing it in three, two, one. I like have like a ritual where I like don't really come in here unless I'm recording. So this is the studio. Very fun. Cute. Looks familiar. I've definitely seen it before. Yeah, I have tissues over here for my guests always just in case they start crying. Yeah. This is where I sit. Sometimes people will shower here after, a long interview. After a long interview, some people will need to wash it off. Okay. Right? I don't know why I'm showing you this, but because it's the real shit. This is what I deal with every day. I'm not like a perfect organized CEO woman. This is where I literally spend, I would say, every single waking minute of my life. Okay. This is where all of the editing happens. Yeah. And this is also where I sometimes record like my ads or my solo episodes. Okay. Right here. These are my boards of just all the guests, year one. Oh my god, that's sick. Year two. Yeah. Another closet. Oh, it's noon. We have to go. Okay. You don't care about my closet. No, Alice, I actually do care about your closet, so. It's like half and half of me like doing merch, half of my actual clothing. Okay, so let's get on this call. Okay. All right. So what I just played for you guys was I'm going to switch my audio back now, that I put in the chat. And one thing she said in there that really caught my attention, she said that I'm not the perfect, like she says, I'm not a perfect organized CEO woman. That's what she said. And she's walking up the stairs. You guys can hear her. So it's like you guys are saying that yes, she has a team. She may not have all it together. We have it. We know what we're doing, but she has a team that knows what they're doing. So yeah, it's great. Have a team, build it, but also know your threshold. So we'd love to hear. I don't know if anyone heard it or watched the video off Clubhouse, but we'd love to know what your thoughts are on just that video.
I would love to say this really quickly, and I don't know Alex Cooper. I don't know Joe Rogan. Never met them. But when you watch her stuff, whether you like it or not, she's really good. And it's not like she's like, oh, we're going to wing it and talk. No, she puts on a show, and everything is thought out, everything is structured, everything is, but they don't make it look that way. The point is, they do everything for the listener. Just watch her stuff and or listen to her show, and you'll find out exactly what I mean. And ask yourself an honest question: are you doing the same thing? Because the majority of people are not. We got to give credit where credit's due. She put in the work. She did the work before she could afford a team. She had to do it herself, and she learned it, and it's changed her life financially. But don't forget that there's team. There's, you said many times, there's lawyers. There's people negotiate these deals. You don't think she did you? You think that someone else, Sirius, has a team of lawyers? They have a team of lawyers doing that. Um, Getting away from Sirius. Before that, going from Barstool Sports to Sirius. How did you get the first deal to Barstool Sports? There's people in this room that can do the same thing if they're willing to do the footwork, the ugly grind work that no one likes to do. That's what Alex has done. And we got to give credit where credit's due for that very reason.
Totally. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Because even watching this video, you can see like her boards, year one, year two, like she planned her stuff. Even though she may not have it all together, she knows what she's doing. And I think, you can just do it every time you can if you have the time to, which we do. But I think the priority on where you want to go in the future is what's really going to be a priority in the first place. So this is a great example of, keeping up with your podcast, letting people know who you are, showing up, letting people know this is what I do, because someone can listen to you one day on TikTok, on YouTube, and just send you an email, and then your life is changed forever. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that it's possible if you keep that going, because that consistency is big, and sometimes it may take you 5 years to break it, 7, 10, 15 minutes. You never know. So it's all about, that resilience and building around that. And even the time she's also doing now that she's even in this, I'm sure even the way she's going to be conducting her episodes are going to be different. Just listening to how she runs her show, what she says, seeing how ads come in between each other like a actual radio show, and how she's blending it in. It's really good. And I feel like if people just look at it from their own perspective and see, what is she doing that I'm not doing? Okay, check all the boxes and then do the same thing. In a year, I'm sure, there are so many companies that can endorse you, that can sponsor you. So SiriusXM is not the only one, but it's one of the ones. And I think this is also a good thing to look at long term. Now I'm thinking about digital audio and Spotify, Apple, market share, YouTube in the picture now. What do you think would happen? Like TikTok Shop is coming with Amazon Shopping, like this product, there's live interaction, there's a lot going on in the back end, and then AI, not to even mention. So just, where do we see this? And I would love to even ask you this, Soda, because you're in the arts, scenery as well, and that also goes into intellectual property, into all the good stuff. So how are you seeing this, and what does that look like for your audience, just from what you've been looking at? And welcome back to Clubhouse.
Thank you. I missed all of you. So this is making me think of something I was talking with my dad about. He was a producer at NBC for about 25 years. And I remember him like, because I grew up always watching these talk show hosts and wondering like, they just talk and they just ask questions and they make millions of dollars. And I remember him telling me, I think it was Conan O'Brien. I don't, I don't really, but, but he was like, yeah, he was a writer, and one of the producers thought he was just, there was something about him that stood out, as like his red hair or something like that, like th- something about him stood out of all that. He was very talented and there were other equally talented writers, but something about him stood out, and they decided, I'll choose you to host this show. And then that got him to another, got him further and further. And sometimes it's just like, you have the skill, you do the work, like what John says, and you have that content, but sometimes you just need that little thing to stand out. Like, especially with AI and everything being so like becoming more and more uniform, there's just something about that spark, something that differentiates you, whether it's art or podcasting or whatever. So I don't know, that was just my thoughts.
And I love that. Thanks for sharing that. It's so true. I think when you also like trust the voice, and you don't even know the face behind the voice, you trust it so much because you've been hearing it for so long. And then eventually when you start seeing it on social media in person, then it actually comes to life in a way, because you're actually connecting with people you've been connecting with for a long time, a really, really long time. So it plays into that big role too. And actually today, I'm just going to do this real quickly. Today is her birthday. So I'm gonna just say happy birthday to you, Alexander Cooper. Yeah,
Birthday.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's happening. That's I mean, who doesn't want a birthday like that, you know? So, but it could be planned. It could all be worked into everything. It just didn't happen overnight. I'm sure they were doing revisions. Like this must have taken a while before this deal was inked. So I'm sure there's definitely so much to look at that into. And Billy says, "What's up, Billy? How to ditch your audience for $125 million? Go from a free distribution to a paid serious Hail Mary move to find a younger audience. Yikes. Let's talk about that one. That's a little different, yo. Billy just stirred up the room. What do you guys think? Why are we quiet? Billy, come up. Let's talk about it.
Well, I'm curious, Favor, based off like the numbers that we're seeing with so many top podcasters, like what do you feel like or think the future of podcasting will look like 5 to 10 years from now, with all these platforms kind of doing a bidding war with a lot of these creators?
That's a tough one. I think this is definitely like what with Billy said too, with the free to paid, it's dicey
Mm-hmm.
because now you're like, okay, do we survive on this platform or that platform? But I feel like at some point with podcasting, if you're taking it seriously as a business, at some point you have to pay for some things.
Yeah.
At some point, it can be free forever, because you're paying with your time still in some type of capacity. So I think in the next 5 years, I don't know what would happen, but with Web3 in the way, with NFTs coming, with collectibles, with, AI, with, all these things, your podcast could actually be an NFT. It's very possible that could happen in the future. With Web3, it could be a token. People could start actually having collectibles of your quotes, of your things like that. So I'm thinking that the way it's going with digital audio, more people should start thinking about creating, first of all, a website for their podcast, so that anytime they're getting all this kind of traffic, all that first party data is coming back to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they can actually enjoy the subscribers. Because if something happens on YouTube, on Threads, on TikTok, at least people from the email list would know about it, and then it also gives people the ability to connect on a deeper level. So even if you don't have her email, she probably has yours, or she has your attention because other people's attention on her. So if we're able to do the same thing and just focus on our niche audiences that we serve daily and then show up for, I think we'll be just fine. And not everyone needs $1 billion to be okay. Some people have billions and they're not happy. So we shouldn't look at the money as, oh, we need to get to the money. We need to get to the impact. Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. I do feel like we're going to see more like larger companies acquiring like smaller creators, um, pretty much kind of creating like this powerhouse of like podcasters, kind of like with the MCNs in a way, if you guys know what that is, with like content creators. But I'm starting to see that a lot now where people are creating companies and just recruiting a bunch of podcasters under it. And then I'm also seeing more subscription models with podcasters, especially on platforms like Patreon. Patreon, if you guys want to look into it, they actually give out grants to podcasters. They gave it out to B. Simone. I think they gave her like over $200,000 just to get started. And they also did her tour. So she took her podcast out. People were buying tickets and it was massive. She probably had like 10,000 plus people in the audience, but there's a lot of great things happening, a lot of money to be made for sure.
I agree. It's the list is endless. I think we can definitely get there. And if we start getting into like those businesses and seeing what they did from the ground up, it's going to change. It's really going to change. It's something I noted and I saw here. But before I do, I wanted to say hi to you, Billy. Get well soon, first of all, and I hope you're okay. Thanks for joining us today. And if you can speak for a little bit, please, we'd love to hear your thoughts on what you said, especially because people don't know what platform to pick on.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm just getting over. I think what is a gnarly cold, so I can probably talk for a couple minutes. No, I thought it was. I mean, I think it's cool. First of all, that creators are getting paid, getting big contracts. I mean, it makes me smile. I love it. Just speaks value to the industry, to what we're doing, and especially for smaller creators like myself who aspire to, you know, do bigger things. Like it's cool these guys are paving the way. I did think it was kind of interesting to go from, free distribution platforms that you really built your audience on to now this paywall that somebody else owns. I mean, I totally get Patreon, I get all the membership stuff for additional pieces of content, which, I mean, I don't know if it's an exclusive. I didn't read any further than what I saw here, but I didn't, maybe it's strictly on Sirius XM, maybe it's not, maybe it's all over the place, but I kind of saw this with Joe Rogan a little bit on YouTube. I'm like, oh man, you have this great following, and not that it's hard to go watch on Spotify, but it wasn't as convenient for me. So as a consumer of that show, I just didn't watch it that much because I didn't really use Spotify, and it didn't really bring me over to be a Spotify user, even though it was still a free platform. So I just kind of think about that in this situation. Like, if this is exclusive, only available on SiriusXM, only available through a payment plan, like, is it their last ditch? Is it like their Hail Mary to bring on a younger audience, a younger paid audience, or what's their play? And then also for the podcast itself, it's like, did you just screw yourself, like in the long term, with the people who make your show happen, which is your audience? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I thought it was interesting.
That's a heavy one. Thank you for that insight, because it's true. You look at the whole picture and see where it's landing. What are the people doing with the information? Where is it going? And also looking at the hierarchy as well, because everyone is seeing SiriusXM. We should also look at the parent company, Liberty Media, right? And they have stakes, with Formula One, with SiriusXM, with Live Nation. You know what that means when you have Live Nation Entertainment in your, capacity with mass media. What does that mean for tickets? What does that mean for tours? What does that mean for live interaction? So we can just keep blowing our heads off with this. There's so many drills to go through. But I also feel too that just with what she's doing, she's created a stance for herself that allows her to also have that dominance online. And one of the things that I will say, which I wanted to bring in, which I think will be really good for people to look at, if you also want to look at this on your own too, is when you're looking at this podcast. I'm looking at it from SEO. I'm not even looking at the podcast realm. I'm looking at the technical search engine aspect. What I'm noticing too with her is that when I look at her website, callherdaddy.com, I go to her website and I click on podcast, it takes you direct to Spotify. So what's going to happen is, because of this deal, that's going to change very soon. And then I'm sure a lot of things are going to change in between. While that is happening, another good thing to note is, if you have a podcast, this is something that I'm currently working on. I'm in the works with that. So before the end of this year, it should be ready. Think about getting your brand on Wikipedia. That's one thing that's also going to make you stand out there. Because when you have your podcast on Wikipedia, right, and you have your name on Wikipedia, it also strengthens your backlink authority, your domain authority. So for her, she has an article on Wikipedia about her show, right? Even if you have your show you've been doing for years, you can have it on there, because it also justifies and tells you where you are. Here on the publication, it says her original release October 3rd, 2018. That's when she started, right? The number of episodes as of March 31st, she had 254. I think last time I checked, she's probably in the 300s right now, right? The provider is Spotify and YouTube. So it's going to change to SiriusXM when they have that connected. So when you look at the big picture and also see how you're stretching, yes, post on TikTok, post on Instagram, post on these platforms. But SEO wise, make sure that you have a strong backing, so that when you look at your domain authority, even if you don't have links like that, which you should, but being on platforms like Wikipedia will also give you that leverage online, because you have something that is within the knowledge panel of Google. That's with just one search engine. So that's one thing I can definitely say that also improved her visibility, because when people search for you online, they can't find your LinkedIn, they can't find your website, they can't find your podcast. You're not on a distribution platform outside Apple, you're not on Listen Notes, you're not claimed. you're not a Podchaser, like you're not in these platforms that actually show your dominance, then there has to be something that should be fixed in between. So that's something that I caught. And I said, hey, this would be something to look at, because long term, even as a business, if you have a business and your podcast is a vertical of your business, that's a good way to also leverage those kind of media formats. So I wanted to come to you, Julie, to ask you if you have some time to just let us know what are your thoughts on that when it comes to also just having that media leverage online.
I'm
It's
sorry.
so, oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was away from the phone. Repeat the question, and then Julie, then I'll go.
Sorry, I was asking about media leverage. So, like, how do you leverage media when you're online and you're using, third-party applications or platforms or media publications to elevate your brand within the PR space?
John, do you want to go first?
No, I'll default to you, then I go.
Well, I mean, you can't just rely on uploading your RSS feed, which is the real simple syndication to Apple and Spotify, because you'll get lost in the minutia of all this. It's so important to have building out your brand, to make sure you're an expert or to create that buzz for whatever you're doing. Call her daddy. She obviously hit a nerve with a certain generation and what they're talking about. It's about getting your name, your podcast into the major publications like the Daily Mail. And John loves when I talk about the Daily Mail because he's like, you do things with the Daily Mail. Yes, but it's a certain nuance in terms of getting stories into publications like the Daily Mail. It's about getting your voice out into something like Entrepreneur Magazine or um, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why, but I'm going to use Entrepreneur Magazine and Daily Mail as examples because that propels your brand. That propels whether you're a podcaster, whether you're an author, whether you're an entrepreneur into different audiences, which creates such a firestorm of interest. And then you have to have a decent podcast that they can come and land on and learn more about you. So the media is so important to get that buzz directed towards your website. Thank you. Was that the answer you wanted, Favor?
I love that. No, thank you so much for that. No, that's spot on. John, we'd love to hear you too.
All right, so very quickly, what Alex Cooper did, let's just say Barstool Sports. There's a big media machine behind that. That was the first major acquisition, but she put in the footwork to create a good show to begin with, and that's what a lot of people don't do. So what I do is I leverage social media, search, and also writing articles, Newsbreak, Medium. I've applied for Volve Media today. I got an application or patch. All that for SEO purposes. I focus on SEO, but I really focus on is my episode searchable and discoverable in podcast directory searches. I really focus on that. I focus on the one that leads the most for me, which is Apple by a long way. Spotify is not is a very distant second. We're talking about 2 million to 88,000 difference. So I really focus on that, and then I focus on creating traffic for the website. So we look at Barstool Sports. There's a lot of there's a lot of cogs in that wheel that they were doing all these things. It wasn't just her show. And I'll close on this. Favor, you do rooms. You were doing rooms every day for a while. Now it's multiple times a week about SEO. And I'll be honest. We're lucky if there's 5 people in this room sometimes. And I'll be of those 5 people, I'd say the vast majority of them never do the work. They never do that. They'll listen to it, and then they rather complain. Oh, by the way, I'm not getting any growth. Well, because you're not doing the work. If you want to grow, you got to do the work. Everybody in professional sports, they trained, they got there, they relied on coaches, and she had people that she relied on too. But she did the work, and that's how. And I said it before, I'll say it again. That's why she is getting the money she's getting. So if you want that kind of money, you got to do that kind of work. End of story.
It's true. The work has to be done. And I think you're right. What you said, especially on the Barstool Sports piece, was a very heavy key factor for her. Because I was doing the math and I was like, okay, let me calculate some things here. because I was looking at Wikipedia. Of course, never use Wikipedia for a school paper, right? Never. But when you look at the dominance of what they give as far as history, information, just giving you straight up black and white, I'm seeing here that the podcast rapidly increased in popularity from 12,000 downloads to 2 million downloads in 2 months. So that's technically 1,700 listeners, I can say that way, if I put it like that, in a week, because downloads is measured by 7 days, to about a little bit over a quarter of a million listeners in 2 months. So that stretch alone must have boosted her social media. I must have boosted her traffic, must have boosted a lot of things. It's like getting capital gains, and then you just start, working the machine, because now you have an operating system that's working for you. So I also believe too that because she was able to leverage with that media, just looking at barstoolsports.com, I'm looking at them right now. They have about a million, 1.1 million searches a month, right? And out of that, not everything of that is directed towards one thing. They'll have about 49% they're branded, 51% is non-branded. And majority of their traffic comes from information, and least of it comes from navigation. So just by looking at this alone, she was able to leverage that audience. And then I think from that audience, because when I think of Barstool Sports, I'm thinking it's mostly for men, but her audience are generally women. So it's like we're playing like it's like a catch 22 here. It's like, who's your primary audience? Who's your secondary audience? How do you connect the two together? And who's the base? So when we look at those numbers and see how it flips into now who she's actually serving, it makes a lot of sense. Billy even said too, with the Spotify listeners, yeah, I'm sure she wouldn't want to lose her Spotify audience. I think it's just the platform itself being switched over. But as far as RSS feed distribution, syndication, they should all still be within the same pipeline. So it's just interesting to see that. And Mark has a question about Wikipedia page for the podcast brand or the host or both. Great question. Great question. I would say both. Both, because when I looked at her account, you can see she has her own there. She has Alexandra Cooper has her own. Call Her Daddy has her own. Spotify has their own. Barstool Sports has their own. Podcast, the term podcast has their own. So when you think about Wikipedia, it's like a tagging page, right? So that tagging page just keeps you within the space. It keeps you within the loop. It keeps you within the pipeline. And when you have a tag, because Wikipedia is heavy on tagging, that's what they do. Just tagging, tagging, tagging. They'll talk about one thing, you click it, it takes you to another page. So if they tag your name, your business name, and then your podcast name, that's three. If it's just you, that's just you. If it's your podcast, it's just your podcast. So I would say have two if you can. And then those two can now stand independently and then work simultaneously, so that effectively you can actually get more traffic because you have two Wikipedia pages bouncing into your domain. And that's like two power pages, rather than just one power page. So it's a really great deal to have that if that's installed. So those are some things that I'm planning to do. That's on my pipeline. I should have done it a while back, but I'm working on it right now because I wanted to give it some time just to pull into some traffic, at least get some things out there before I have something on Wikipedia. But it's possible. It's very possible to have that there, have a full-on show, get your knowledge panel, and then once your podcast has a website and that website is connected to Wikipedia, that's it. It's just off. It's off to the roof and off to the races, if I can put it like that. Yeah. So it just depends on where you're connecting your account from too. So thank you so much for that question. I hope that helped a lot of people. Amen. And Liverpool's finest are here. How are you guys? Good evening. Welcome. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Anything that you'd like to add on, please feel free.
Good evening, Favor. Thank you for the welcome. I'm only just coming in, so I'm just gonna get a general feel for the conversation. So I'm looking forward to this room. It looks like more of a, it looks like gonna be an interesting one because, like I said, I think I've had conversations about this as well. I have been considering creating a podcast, and it's in the work and everything like that. And these rooms have really been helping me to kind of really gauge and get enough information and see that it's quite a lucrative business to try and get into with podcasting and everything like that. So yeah, but as of right now I don't really have thoughts, so let me just listen to more into the conversation. If I have any comments or questions I will fire them away back. Anyway, back over to you, Favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Liverpool. Appreciate you for being here. Amen. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. Welcome.
Hey everyone, good night. For me, good night. For you guys, good evening. The case study how to make 1 million from broadcasting, which is absolutely doable with a lot of work. But let me tell you something about Wikipedia, because Wikipedia has a lot to do with the main internet service i- around the world. You will be finding the same very links, and they have their own style of writing. And I believe that having your website or what website links linked to that to Wikipedia specifically give it more credentials than any other social media or any other backlinks or websites or whatsoever. But I will give you something a little bit different than Wikipedia, and then having the podcast linked to something in particular, which is the the content of this podcast. Because actually, regardless what is the technology that you're using, it will always be about the usage. I mean, you can be doing anything and everything, but are you leading someone to listen to your podcast? Are they regularly listening? Your statistics is very important. I mean, this is something that we cannot even think twice of taking it lightly, to be sure that you have all the statistics from the day one, because you want to be always going to doing a back a reverse engineering for your processes. First of all, you want always to know, and I'm not sure if we can advise with this or not, but browsing the data of the listeners, browsing it's not for any unethical usage, but to know to get the best of the statistics. I usually use a lot of tools, but usually it's always about the statistics. And number two, know what your audience really look for. At the end of the day, if there is nobody listening to you, or if the engagement that leads to your website is not happening, it's completely not doable. But in the meantime, it happens, and I'm so proud of what you said about the case study, because the name is genius. The technology and the linking, the backlinks and everything is going in the right direction. But I believe that it will always need to a lot of work, need to be mentored, and needs to be with someone, first of all, who understand the technology and how it works. And any business owner on their own I kid you not, they cannot do it. Back to you, Faber.
Thank you, Amen. Appreciate that. I'm glad you were able to bring out this information because I think it's also important for us to look at, like what you said, heavily on distribution. And distribution is one thing that podcasters should learn. If they can just get that one thing right, everything else will be all right. And it takes a while, but once you're able to crack it, it works. I was actually doing some research, and you can see her Wikipedia up here just for you guys to look at what I've been looking at, just for context purposes. If you look at her profile, if you notice, that's her 2021 cover art. That's not even her 2024 cover art, sorry. And you can see it's presented by Honey. So Honey was definitely her, probably the sponsor at the time in 2021, so that hasn't been updated yet, but I'm sure it will. Right, these are some little things that you can see. You can also see the bar stool on the top left, right? Little subliminal things that you can still catch, if you look at it really intentfully. And just looking at the base of this, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of her Wikipedia page, you'll see her external links, her website, her YouTube channel, her Instagram channel, her Twitter, her podcast, her iHeart podcast index, even her RSS feed. That's how I got to know that she's using Megaphone, right? So she's moving from Megaphone by Spotify to SiriusXM. So it's from a paid platform to another paid platform. So, like, I'm just drilling this down as we speak. I didn't do the research. I said, hey, let's open this room, and whatever we find, we find. So, just by looking at this and just having one article that I saw, I said, okay, let's stretch it open and see what we find. So, just by looking at this alone, you can try it yourself. Be on different platforms and see where this could actually take your business long term. Now that I'm thinking about this, because I remember telling you this, John, in earlier this year, that I'm thinking about moving away from Spotify for podcasters, and now I'm like, okay, Megaphone is there, the one that you're on is there. It's like I don't know. It's a hard nut to crack, but I would love to hear from you, just your journey, just a little bit on like how did you make that decision to stick to what you have before you knew what you got.
That decision was actually made for me by my former partner. He struck a deal with Omni Studio, and it worked. And I took the philosophy for a long time of it's not broken, don't fix it. I didn't really know all the different tools it had. If I had to look, they all do basically the same thing for all right around the same price. Some are free, but there's always a trade off for free. However, for me to make money with my show, analytics, I think Amon was saying about it, the analytics are so important. If a podcast hosting platform doesn't provide analytics, and I'm on a free one to save $25 a month or $30 a month, you're probably shooting yourself in the foot and missing an opportunity where you can turn around and create data and data points. You can sell your content. You build value that way. So um, it's really easy platform to use, and that's why I've been on Omni Studio since 2017, and I've got no intentions of leaving because if it's not broken, don't fix it.
So true. So true. No, I love that. It's definitely a big thing to look at when you want to know where you want to go, which podcast you want to use, and then at some point you're like, yeah, it's good to be there. Because I think one of the reasons why people maybe don't get on platforms or jump on things too fast is because they don't know the price. If they know the price, they can make a decision faster. But when they don't know the price, they're a little bit skeptical of how to even get started.
There's another point to your favor, and I wanted to add it to you from another perspective, which is the user's devices. Spotify is the go-to podcast platform for Android users because we cannot go to Apple Store to Apple Podcast. So you are kind of let go for maybe let's say 40% of your market if you're not having a way out. Another popular and known platform for podcasts because not everyone using iHeart. Not basically to make it clear, in some regions, in some countries, there's still some applications, some platforms that is not not available, not allowed. So you want to go with what is globally this open and globally available for everyone to be using, so you can have your audience getting hold of you anyhow, either whatever your device is, you will be finding me in there. Because SoundCloud, for example, doesn't now they are deteriorating. They maybe 10 15 years ago they were the top one, but now it's not the case. Now Spotify uh, and Spotify also from another standpoint have reasonable, very reasonable membership for users, not for podcasters. So even if you are going to have that part of, or that another special for podcast for your for your members, if you want to go opt for that model, business model, I mean, to offer kind of different membership podcast, also you would be finding people who will use the membership content. So those are 2 points I wanted to add for to be mindful of the decision whether I would leave the platform or I would be staying in there.
I'm
I
gonna
hope
jump
that
in really
helps you.
quickly. Amen. So there's been a couple changes. One is the podcast where you're hosting it. The directories, you should be on all the directories. So everybody can access GeoSavin, Deezer, iHeart, Spotify, all of them. So actual statistics, 70.8% of all downloads come from Apple. Spotify is 8%. When it comes to online streams of your show, Spotify has 25% of the market share and Apple's 20%. Then yesterday, actually the day before, but yesterday I did a room with Podcast Pros. Apple announced their podcast website URL. They're calling it a web app, but it's a URL. You can listen to Apple Podcasts on Windows, on almost any type of browser, and get all the features. So that obstacle is gone because I use an iPhone and then I have a PC, and I could never listen to my show on PC until now. So that has gone by the wayside.
Exactly. Yeah, I saw that news yesterday. I think they sent out an email, and I was like, wow, this has opened up a whole new thing because that's what Spotify has too. You know, you can do the same thing on web, and Apple didn't have that. So I think them opening up is also a way for them to still edge into the market and still have that dominance. But SoundCloud, no. I used to use SoundCloud for music, not for podcasts. So it's a little different now just because of the market share. So that's a really good point that you put out there. Appreciate that. We got about 6 minutes out of the top of the hour because we wanted to close at the top of the hour, but I'm glad we talked about this and we brought this information to you today for those listening, because it's sometimes it's hard to understand what's going on in the market, and we just come here to have a good conversation and talk about some really good things that will help your business grow. So for us to take whatever we're taking home from this room, major thing is consistency, distribution, and relevance. Consistency, distribution, relevance. If you can be consistent in what you do and distribute as far as you can, then the right people will find you relevant when they're looking for information you provide. Don't make it too hard for yourself. Just show up and then they'll show out for you. So that was I'm glad we did this room. Dr. Fashion, thanks for pushing me to do this. Cause I was like, I don't put numbers and dollar signs on my titles. Like that's I don't do that. So this is my first ever in 4 years of Clubhouse doing it. But I'm glad we did because it's very important to put these things out because I don't want people thinking, oh, what is he trying to say? Nah, this is real information. So let's talk about it.
I love it. And thank you for having me. This is a really great room. And I hope people took notes because this kind of gave even myself some ideas of what I could start doing. I don't really consider myself a podcaster, but I do create content. So I'm already like licensing out my content and all that good stuff, but I'm ready to explore other platforms. So thank you, Favor.
You are welcome. Appreciate you. Nah, this was a good room. I definitely appreciate that. So I think let's go around the room so that people, because I know we started off in the beginning, and let people know how they can connect with you. What are the possible options? Because Clubhouse, there's a lot going on out here, so we want to stay connected. So start off with you, Dr. Fashion, then down to John, Julie, Amen, and Liverpool.
Yeah, if anybody want to stay connected with me, definitely go to my bio and follow me on Instagram. I always check my DMs there, and all my information is in my bio on IG.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, you can find me at letradio.com. That's my website for the radio show and podcast. You can contact me there. Also, the at the social media messengers on the bio. My email's in there as well. And I do rooms Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5 p.m. called Podcast Pros. And I'm in Breakfast of Champions almost every Monday through Friday at 6:30 a.m.
Thank you so much, Julie. Julie might be busy.
I'm
Okay.
here. My name is Julie Loken, and I'm the facilitator of dreams. If you're interested in meeting some like minded creative entrepreneurs, check out www.creativecon.com. That's CRE, the number eight, TIVE, con.com. It's a conference for creative entrepreneurs. And I'm looking forward to seeing Favor again and John and hopefully all of you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Can't wait for 2025 Creative Con. That's locked and loaded. We coming. We definitely coming. I'm excited. This year's was amazing, and next year's even going to be better. I can't wait. Thanks again. Amen.
I'm Iman. Iman, by the way, you can find me guys on my IG. You can find me on my LinkedIn. My IG has everything, and on my profile here, you can find me on LinkedIn by the same name. I'm the business development consultant and the product development consultant as well. So you can just reach out to me if you need anything, and I'll be there. Thank you, guys. Back to you, Faith.
Thank you, Iman. I got the name right this time. Thank you. Appreciate that. Liverpool.
You can catch me either on Twitter, Instagram. Um, I check either DM, but yeah, if you want more information, Instagram would be better. So if you want to connect on Instagram would be better and everything like that. But I am on Twitter and everything like that. My Twitter's not attached. It used to be, and I took it off. And I took it off. But yeah. And yeah, but yeah, you can reach me up on Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram is Love Music Reef. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for that. And for those who want to connect with me too, please click this face here, click my face, and then from there you can connect with me. My details are on there, my LinkedIn, my email. If you want to reach me directly, if you want to go a little bit more directly, you can come to our email community, connect with us, get emails that really transform, change, and make you think a little bit differently, because I like to share some really cool insights outside the platform and really give you like good exclusive information that can make you read, do research. Because when I send an email, it's for you to be educated and empowered. So if you want to learn more about that, please click the link above, and that will take you to the show where you can also subscribe to the podcast show. This has been a great room. We've talked about how to make $100 million from podcasting from the eyes of Alexandra Cooper, and we've talked about how she did it, where she did it, what happened, what are the things that could be done, because we can all do the same thing. Right? She's just one out of 4.2 million podcasters in the world, and there are over half a billion listeners in the world. So everyone has an audience somewhere. There are about, I think, 504.9 million to be exact listeners in the world, podcasters worldwide. And in the US, there are also a good number of them too. So I think it's probably in the hundreds. So if you just think wide enough and see where you could potentially be as a business, as an authority, as a place, and you're on platforms like Wikipedia, you're on all the podcast platforms, you're on YouTube, you're everywhere. If someone types in your name on Google, you're not just on Instagram and LinkedIn. You're on Apple, you'll have an article somewhere, you're on Wikipedia, you have Instagram, you have an article featured somewhere. Things are happening for you, and that's also going to get you that exposure you need. It's not going to happen overnight. I think she's been doing her podcast since 2018. So for her to get this in 2024, it took a good number of years to get her there. So it's not going to be overnight. So think about when you started and where you could be. This could be your year. Next year could be your year. Any year could be your year. Just have faith, believe, work hard, work smart, be good to people, connect to the right people, and show up, and then be the person that you want people to see you for. And that way people can connect with you much further. So thanks again for listening. I appreciate you, Dr. Fashion, Julie, Eman, Liverpool, Drew, Mark, No Carbs, Mimi, Richard, Jay, David, Zizi, welcome. Thanks for being here. Franklin and Onuaha, thank you for being here. Y'all are so appreciated. And I've been doing rooms on a daily basis. So I might do another room tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. because I might do that 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. Central. We're gonna see whichever one comes first. It might be the 9 a.m. Yeah, it might be the 9 a.m. because 7 a.m. is a little too early, and I care about my specific timers. So I want to make sure you guys are also here and it's not too early for you because I wake up really early. So yeah, I want to make sure y'all are good. So thanks for listening. Listen to the replay. We covered a lot. Like I covered a lot. That put articles in here, references, click the links that we put in the chat. If you scroll up, even watch that TikTok video just to get some context. And then that way you can even get to know who she is if you've never heard of her before. Just get to know that just because you have a podcast, it means you have something to show, and it also means that you have an audience that is waiting for you. She didn't have an audience. If she didn't wake up and leave where she was to get to where she is, it would have taken a while. You guys should read her story. Really impressive story for her. How she just started off from where she was to where she is now, and it just took a number of years. And she has, I think, only about 300 and something podcast episodes. So imagine you doing the same thing within that stretch. You can do so much and you can go so far. So thanks again for listening. Be here tomorrow. I'll be here in the morning and I'll be talking to you guys soon. God bless you all. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Bye.